Hi there, greetings and salutations. Derek, I hate how this happens. You've got to do better than this. Like the music just goes away. Like, can we not do like some sort of like chill slide down type thing?
Can you just treat it like it didn't go that way and let's just have a normal show? How about that? Just have a normal show.
I'm not used to the headsets this way. Does that look okay? Does that look okay?
Yeah, it looks good.
I think the white is too much.
It looks good. No, I disagree. I think the white makes you look trendy and kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Good evening to you. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz, the non-trendy, the non-cool Derek Schultz. I'm the trendy and cool Jake Query, and it is the Query and Schultz program here. This is episode number what for us, Derek? Do we know yet?
Yeah, 295.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, 295 here, 299. I don't know if do you know the significance of the number 299 to me?
I do not.
Sunday was supposed to be my 300th broadcast. Well, my 300th IndyCar race. My 300th IndyCar race was going to be on Sunday, and I'm still stuck on 299 because the skies opened up I did not stay until Monday, and I drove back. So I'm stuck on 299. But there's
what a mess.
To talk about. We'll get into that in just a bit. But good evening to you. 1 week from today, as a matter of fact, 1 week from today, Derek, the Colts will report for training camp. You got the Fever playing tomorrow night. Then they're on their all-star break. And the Pacers having to kind of tweak out. And it's a luxury to have, I guess, Derek, that the discussion for the Pacers and the most relevant question or topic is what they're doing with their final two-way contract. So that's a good problem to have. That's a sign that you're pretty deep. But those are the storylines really here on episode 295.
Yeah, we're not going to lead with the Pacers two-way contract situation. That's more of like a quick hits. Let's spend 45 seconds on it. But you know what today is, Jake?
45 minutes on my show with that today.
Well, yeah, radio's a little bit different than this. We only get everybody once a week. We get Matthew and Gritty and Darren and the rest of the crew once a week. So we have to just kind of condense everything into 1 hour as opposed to how long are you on the air? I forget. How long is your show? 3 hours?
3 hours.
Yeah, 15 hours.
Okay. So you said, Derek, that there's something else you want to get to right away?
Yes.
Okay.
It's pressing.
Can I guess?
It's something that we haven't talked about in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it involve your personal life?
No. It's sports, Jake. This is a sports show. We're going to lead with a sports topic tonight.
LeBron James?
No, I don't want to talk about LeBron. Do you want to talk about LeBron?
No, I want to move my camera.
It's not that I don't care. I actually am.
I'm moving my camera in close so you can see more of me.
I'll give you 20 seconds on LeBron. I do actually think that I am interested to see where he goes. I think that he's just trolling everybody now. And I think that he doesn't care what people think anymore. He's just like, look, people are going to hate me, so I'm just going to milk this for all that it's worth. But it's not going to involve the Pacers, right? So Derek, what? If it's, I don't think it's going to move the needle very much, honestly. If it's Miami, if it's Cleveland, I don't think it matters. I don't think those teams are title contenders with him.
I think Philadelphia would be. I don't know that he. Okay, I don't know that he himself. Here's what's funny, in all honesty, and people are going to hate when I say this. Of the franchises in the East, I know Golden State's in the mix as well. I do think that Indiana is a franchise that he puts them over the top. They were there anyway, but the style that what he brings to the table is exactly what it is that they need. And so I do think if truthfully he wanted to go somewhere to go out on top and win, the Pacers make as much sense as anywhere. And I still go back to, Derek, I'm holding on to that 1%, not because I'm clamoring for him to come here. I'm saying in terms of the possibility that he comes here, I'm saying there's still a 1% chance because I own that 1%, a la Michael Jordan. And I don't think.
Yeah, I heard you say that on your radio show. Yeah, I was in my car when I heard you talking about, did you guys know I was at the Michael Jordan press conference, blah, blah, blah. So I heard you talk all about that. I was not going to lead LeBron today. I was going to lead Colts. We're a week away from.
I have my camera there. That looks good.
Just don't touch anything, okay? Like let's get to the first time. We're 5 minutes in the show. Okay, we're going to talk Colts. A week from today, veterans report to Westfield. A week from tomorrow is the first training camp session. So it's already here. The season's basically here. The offseason, the long wait is over. Now, the problem is that we always do this and then we get excited for training camp and then you go to sit your butt in Westfield on a bleacher and you sit there and you're like, oh my God, I've got to sit through the next 90 minutes of this.
Right.
Because training camp is really, unless you're like a super diehard fan, training camp is really kind of lame and boring. And, but for us guys, just talking about sports, right. And sports topics, it kind of reignites all of the off-season stuff.
Why do I look so much smaller than you?
Stuff for the Colts.
Like you're. Do I need to move this up?
You look fine. Yeah, you look fine. It's fine. You want to you want to get closer to the camera a little bit, maybe that'll help. But can we not talk about it anymore? So I wanted to talk about the biggest question mark facing the Colts entering training camp. And I think there's an obvious one that people are going to say right away. And I don't think that it's the biggest question mark. I don't.
You think the biggest question mark? I got to move this back so we can see our sponsors. Bailey & Wood, by the way, presenting sponsor of the program. We love Bailey & Wood. Chateau Kitchens. Chateau Kitchens, I had to go over to Derek's house tonight, and his actually, he didn't want to let me in. He said his wife didn't want to, and then she was like, oh, come on in, and wanted me to see the kitchen because it always looks great from Chateau Kitchens. Chili water and Hoagies and hops. We'll get to that in just a bit. You think the biggest question mark is not the quarterback situation. And I think the biggest question mark is not the quarterback situation, but the health situation of Daniel Jones and how does he look? I mean, that's huge. The same with Alec Pierce. But I think you're going to say DeForest Buckner is the bigger question because he is a marquee player for them. And his health also is a question. And I think that's probably one of the areas you're going to mention.
Yeah, not a bad guess, but that was not what I was going with. You're in the right ballpark. It's less an individual and more of a unit.
Linebacker.
That's another good one, too. No, to me, what happens with the Colts this season is dictated a lot by what happens at edge. If Leatu Latu is just a guy, and the Colts have drafted a lot of those, Kwity Paye is you look up just a guy in the dictionary and there's a picture of Kwity Paye. Like he's not good. He's not bad. He's just kind of there. He's just a guy. So if Latu is that, then I think this defense is a little bit of a house of cards because they're not very good at linebacker. Cornerback, there are question marks, even though I think they have a lot of talent there. But none of it matters if they can't get after the quarterback. And they've reworked this entire room now where you don't have Tyquan Lewis and you don't have all these veteran mainstays, Samson Ebukam and guys like that you've had for so long. And you're just kind of throwing darts out there. But it's really solely reliant on Latu being a star because I think guys like Arden Key sort of are who they are at this point in their careers.
If Kwity Paye was an NFL franchise, who is he?
The Dolphins.
Mike Wood loves that.
You know what? I'll say 21st century. I'll say Dolphins because the Dolphins are just they're not good. They're not bad. They're just kind of there.
How about Falcons?
No, but the Falcons have had some lean years. Dolphins have only really had one. What was that year? Like 07, 08, they were truly terrible. They were like 2-14. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I think Tony Sperano was their head coach.
Yeah, I think maybe. Didn't they start out like 0-8 or something? Wasn't there some year where the Dolphins went 0-8 and then finished and then went 8-0 and finished 8-8? Who was it?
That sounds like something. I think the Vikings did that in reverse one year with Dante Culpepper, where they were 8-0 and then they finished 0-8, or they were 7-1 and they finished 1-7 or something along those lines. But yeah, I just think that pass rush room, it's really going to kind of dictate everything else because largely, Jake, I know they lost Zaire Franklin and Michael Pittman Jr. and all of that, but largely like the key players are still sort of coming back into the mix on both sides. So I feel like there's less uncertainty there than what they have in that edge room.
I think, Derek, the most egregious thing, frustrating thing, challenging thing about the Colts when it comes to edge, and I don't know when it became edge, pass rush, pass rush.
Yeah, the edge room.
It's just
coming off the edge. Yeah.
But Derek, you can get – they need pass rush. I don't care where it comes from. If it's literally – if they need to go back and get Booger McFarland and put him at the nose tackle and then get push and get pass rush, then I'll take that, right? I mean, it doesn't matter to me where it comes from. But, I mean, Grover Stewart can get sacks. That's pass rush. Generically speaking, putting pressure on the opposing team's quarterback, and I get that it's coming from the edges more often than not. It's just the fact that they have, at some point, you've got to see result because they have invested so much in it. And they have literally, the best way to say it would be, if there is a weakness of Chris Ballard, I think one of them is this, and that is that he's got bills coming up all over the place. All of a sudden now they're in need of a new roof. They've got a leak in the basement. And yet the money that they've saved away for the rainy day funds for Chateau Kitchens, they're spending it on the same area of the house they've been spending it on for like 10 straight years with the same empty results. They're not calling Chateau Kitchens and getting the right answer is what I'm getting at. But he has routinely, and I get the fact, Derek, in defense of Chris Ballard, this is an area in the National Football League that all teams are constantly chasing and coveting, and that is getting pass rush. And we got spoiled here with Freeney and Mathis of thinking you just go. And that's not how it is. But they have to at some point start getting results.
Yeah, and there are other areas that I'm concerned about. I don't want to make it sound like it's just about the pass rush, but with the way the Colts are talking about Daniel Jones, he's going to be ready week 1. So you cross that off the worry list. I don't care who the backup quarterback is. I really don't care. I think it's going to be Riley Leonard because I refuse to believe that a Shane Steichen-led team is going to put Anthony Richardson one injury away from being back on the field again. I don't believe that he would do that. Even if Richardson looks better in camp, I don't think it matters. I think you can make an argument that Richardson looked better in camp last year than Jones did, and he still lost the job. So I don't think that factors into winning and losing very much this year at all. But the linebacker room, because it's not a focal point of the Lou Anarumo defense, I think you can kind of skate by with what you have there. And they invested in that spot in free agency and then with their first pick in the draft as well with CJ Allen. So I think ultimately that'll be fine, but they just really need Latu to be a game breaker. And the problem is, Jake, I mean, the things that you're listing out there, like, you're not wrong, right? Like Grover Stewart maybe gets a couple of sacks. This guy gets a couple of sacks. The Colts have been doing that for like 5, 6, 7 years now, this by committee thing. And it doesn't work. It doesn't make your defense better. When you have a bunch of guys like Yannick Ngakoue who get, 9.5 low leverage sacks, that doesn't do anything for you. Right. You need a guy that's going to keep people up at night that opposing offenses have to game plan for. And you really just have not had that. I mean, if you look at the post Mathis Freeney era of pass rushers, who's been the best one? Justin Houston?
Boy. I mean, probably, honestly, towards the end of his career.
Right?
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's fair.
I'm racking my brain trying to think of somebody. Sadly, Ngakoue, who I just mentioned, would be on the short list because at least he was productive. Who
was the guy from Ball State that
Jonathan Newsom.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. But he had deep cut. He honestly, he showed some skill, right?
He had the game of his life in that divisional in Denver and sacked Peyton Manning, I think, twice. Did he force a fumble too?
Maybe.
We had him on the show on Monday, right?
Really?
That I remember. Yeah.
Did we really?
You don't remember anything about our show. You don't care. But yeah, I remember everything about it. We had Jonathan Newsom on Monday after that AFC division.
What's the highlight of the radio show that we did? What was it? 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, something like that?
Yeah, it was 8 years and 6 months.
Okay. Not that you have a calendar that says this. What was the absolute highlight and what was the low light of the show?
No, I don't know if I want to do remember when. I think we're on a good topic here with the Colts and training camp. Can we push that to like later in the show? Let me think on it a little bit.
Those were the days when the Colts had pass rush, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Mathis was not the defensive player of the year, but wasn't he
close?
He was the AFC sack leader one of those years.
I think that's right. Yeah.
14, maybe 13, 14. Because Freeney would have been gone like right after we took that job. He would have gone to.
No, he was there.
He was there at 11 and 12.
But no, Derek. So we started the show right during the purge, right?
Yeah, because they lost Clark and Brackett and all those guys that offseason.
Freeney was staggered from them. Remember, Freeney was after them.
But barely. Freeney played
we had
one
Freeney
more season, I think.
I think we had two years of Freeney.
I'm pretty sure Freeney played the first Grigson season and then was gone, and San Diego, and then he bounced around after that.
That may be right.
But yeah, and Bethea, the same thing. Bethea hung on for like a year or two, and then he was gone too. And yeah, that was it's so weird to talk about that era. That still feels like it wasn't that long ago, and we're talking about like 15 years ago now.
I know.
with that, which is just kind of insane to think about.
That's why to you it was a big deal, and to me, I'm like, I don't know, I slept since then, right?
Yeah, but steering it back to this year's Colts and training camp and all that. If you're looking at this optimistically, I still think Jones can perform at a high level as long as he's healthy. And does he need to be himself? Yeah, like coming off Achilles, of course, there's a concern there. You still have Taylor, and I understand that he's in a contract year, and there's all these trade rumors going around that there is a 0% chance that a GM entering year 10 and a head coach entering year 4 with a combined 1 playoff win to show for it are going to trade their franchise running back.
Derek, here's the other thing.
There's no chance.
But Jonathan Taylor, and I think we touched on this last week, and nothing has happened to change my mind. If Jonathan Taylor was smart, he would start playing hardball with his contract right now, because he's not even 30 years old yet. He is still a young running back, even though there's a lot of mileage on that. Right, there's a lot of mileage on that 28, right? Because especially when you look back at the carries that he had at Wisconsin. But that said, he has shown no signs of slowing down. His production has been very high, even in a year towards the end of the year where everyone knew that his production was, how base they were, although he needs Jones there to a great extent. But having said that, so it's symbiotic between Taylor and Jones. But if I'm Jonathan Taylor, I'm saying exactly that. I'm going into it saying, guys, what if I'm in the last year of my contract here? What if the Colts have a disastrous season? What if Daniel Jones doesn't play well and it hinders Jonathan Taylor? In that case, he's going to lose a lot of money. So it's in Jonathan Taylor's best interest to right now start negotiating based on the production and the perception of where he is right now, because it's an unknown of where he's going to be 9 months from now. And I think his stock is higher now. It's as high as it's going to be. I think if I'm Jonathan Taylor, I go back to my last renegotiation and I start playing hardball right now, just like I did then.
Yeah. And again, another thing that it feels like that was weird, that was 3 years ago. And here we are 3 years later, and he needs a new contract again. I mean, think about it. Jim Irsay was still living. Like, there was a lot that was kind of happening at that time. You had a new head coach in Shane Steichen, but it's a little bit like The Boy That Cried Wolf, because so many of these season preview shows and these training camp preview shows, we've talked about, okay, well, Ballard's on the hot seat and things are going to change. And then they never seem to change. Right. But just with the way, not just with Ballard and Steichen, but with the way these contracts line up, and so many guys are entering either contract years or the end of their contracts after next year, it just seems to all align that if nothing happens this year, in year 2 under the Daughters, that there are going to be major changes that are going to come. And
I'm a firm believer in this. And I know that some have dismissed this notion. Nobody knows, right? So I'm not saying that it's factual. But I really do believe last year with the passing of Jim Irsay, I mean, the unfortunate and untimely passing of Jim Irsay, I get it and respect all of that. And I understand and respect what I'm about to say. I think you cannot rule out the possibility that Carly Irsay-Gordon all of a sudden is in a situation where there's a lot going on with inheriting the franchise and the business aspect of it and the taxes aspect of it and the monetary, all of that, and wading through all that goes with that. And what are we going to do with all these guitars? And I'm not making light of any of this. I'm saying, factually speaking, I think it's entirely possible that Carly Irsay-Gordon basically said, you know what, to Chris Ballard, I'm going to deal with the football side of things a year from now. You this year, do what you need to do, and I will begin truly assessing the football aspect of the job and assessing it once everything else is done. And that other stuff's all done now. The transition has happened now, even though it kind of was set in place already. And I think now is when she really starts to look at the finite X's and O's of the football production and roster and wins and losses and bottom line. And that now Chris Ballard has to know means that his situation is different and more tenuous than maybe it was before.
Yeah, I just don't think that they were, and this is not me criticizing them because I think this is a defensible choice. I don't think they were ready to make a major decision after just 1 year.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think for us and for Colts fan nation, it was 9 years of Ballard and 3 years of Steichen. But I think in a lot of ways for the Irsay daughters, it was 1 year of each, if that makes sense, because their evaluation is going to be different when they're kind of in the nitty gritty of it all. I also think that what we've sort of seen with the Irsay family over the years is that Jim was very cognizant about not being his dad. And I think Carly is also in a way very cognizant of not being her dad. And what I mean by that is not being the reactive, combative dad that he could be. You know, right. I think for the most part, Jim Irsay was and this is going to sound weird because his personal life, obviously with his trials and tribulations, was very unstable at times. But I think for the most part, he was a pretty stable owner, right? When it came to like big decisions.
I think he was, Derek, and I don't mean this again. I want to be delicate here because I don't want it to sound like I am. There's always the notion, we've seen it, you and I've seen it in the radio world. Whenever you get a new boss, you know, the Who said meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right? But in reality in business, oftentimes the new boss comes in and the first thing you do is you compare it against the old boss and then you blame everything on the old boss, right? Well, you know, Bill did this and Bill did that, and we got to clean up what Bill did here, there. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that. And I don't mean to speak ill of someone who is not here to defend himself, because Jim Irsay, 9 out of the 10 things you can say about him were positive. But I do think that in the end, the last few years of his tenure, he was more erratic with his decisions and his interference than he had been for the vast majority of his time. And that is one thing that I think you have to say about him. And I think, yes, there is probably the possibility that Carly Irsay Gordon looks at that and says, that's what I've got to kind of learn from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like the lone exception really was 2022. And he just something, I think it was about Carson Wentz, something about that. Correct. And then bleeding into the 2022 season just threw him into a rage. And right. He just went on the warpath after that and made a bunch of really bad decisions, all clustered within like a 6-month span. And he just kept like making things worse, not only for himself, but for the team as well. And I think she saw that a little bit and said, you know, his dad, in Jim's defense, Bob was like that all the time. Right. So Bob did that with every decision, right?
By the way, Gritty and Boo both, or Gritty and Matthew both said they want to see a Boo cameo, and we're dangerously close, just so you know.
Okay, yeah, Jake has a cat for people that don't know, but I thought we were having a good discussion on the Colts and things like that. So I do think they're not going to wait around forever. Overall, they've probably been overly patient, just the Irsay family in general, because like I said, our timeline and the Colts fan timeline for Ballard especially is on year 10, not year 1, not year 2, not year 5. And you gave him a soft reset after the 2022 season. Well, guess what? The 2022 season was 4 years ago.
In your opinion.
That's a long time.
In your opinion, the Colts need to go what, record-wise, in order for Chris Ballard to be secure?
I think bare minimum they would have to make the playoffs. I think there's actually a chance they might have to win a playoff game. But I think bare minimum, I think they would have to make the playoffs. I think they'd be willing to kind of see this through if they made the playoffs. There is that I do think is contingent though on Daniel Jones again sort of stabilizing things. I think if for some reason let's say they piece this together and then Jones got hurt in the middle of the season and Leonard took him home and they ended up 10-7 and they made the playoffs and they won 7 of Jones's starts and 3 of Riley Leonard's starts, then maybe that would be a different thing because they'd be looking at it and say, well, we don't want to go into a new year without a quarterback and all of that. I think they need to make the playoffs and feel like Jones is a stable short-term solution for them at quarterback in order for everybody else to retain their jobs.
Do you like Jones? I don't mean as a person. I mean as a quarterback. Do you like him?
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think he provides a level of stability that they haven't had before. Then again, it's such a small sample size. It's just different from Rivers. When Rivers came here in 20, Rivers had in my opinion, a Hall of Fame career up until then, and a Hall of Fame level of stability and consistency up until then. Whereas Jones really had, 10 games in 2022, and then he had the first half of last year. Outside of that, his career's been sort of a trash fire.
I think, and only time will tell us this, okay? Now, I'm not going to go with like Jeremy Lin's sanity. That would be irresponsible because Jones has shown more basis than, Jeremy Lin came out of nowhere and had this 10-game stretch that was amazing. But there have been players, Derek, that they get kind of on a heater, you buy into who they are, and then eventually the reality kicks in and you find out they are who you thought they were. And Jones had moments in New York that caused the Giants to give him a big deal, a big contract. And then water started to find its level and they decided to move on from that. I know I've mentioned this before and I don't mean to be repetitive with it, but my concern, I'm not saying factually, but my concern would be that the injury to Daniel Jones, which started his lower leg, and then I think that kind of morphed itself into the Achilles because of overcompensatory movement.
Yeah.
But just before that started happening, he was starting to come back a little bit. He was starting to show some of those hiccups and those turnover tendencies that caused him to run out of time in New York. And I hope that's not the case. And I hope that what we saw before that, when they got out to 7-1 or 7-2 or whatever it was, that's really who he was and New York didn't have enough around him. That's possible. But I'm fascinated to see how it plays out.
What makes me feel more confident about that is that I just feel like he and Steichen really clicked.
I think
and found something in each other. And I think that's what's really kind of repeatable. When we come back on the show, we'll have our Hoagie and Hero of the Week, brought to you by our friends at
Does that mean we can crack into our chili water blood on the track?
Crack into our chili water brew as well. But want to remind you, the presenting sponsor of the show is the logo that you see at the top of your screen. Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender presents Corey and Schultz. 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com for our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group. So whether you're looking to refinance or get pre-approved for a home mortgage, you can call Mike Wood and his team, 5-star customer service at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. Their golf outing is August 6th, right around the corner. So we're talking about, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from... Excellent. 2 weeks from Thursday. Yeah, which is crazy. We'll be there, and it'll be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see Mike and the crew get those little sausage biscuits and the whole deal there at Bailey & Wood. We come back, more on the Colts. Caitlin Clark's historic night for the Fever from last week that we have to get into. The SEC huffing and puffing, and, don't eat any lettuce. Talk about that, too. Square and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group, here on the ISC Sports Network.
Which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back, Corey and Schultz, here on the ISC Sports Network. Thanks so much for joining us. Presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group. He's Jake. I'm Derek. I just had our buddy Matt Siegel just texted me during the commercial break. He's like, hey, what happened to the studio? I still love the show. You guys are super funny, but what happened? This is the third iteration of the show now. So we started with the ISC studio, and then I really enjoyed doing the show from Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Brewing. That was a lot of fun. But Jake had to go and ruin it,
Derek,
and
that's not
his show changed.
Not accurate.
His show changed, so
I could still
no
do
more
it.
Hoagies and Hops.
Mr. Big Time there couldn't be there that early.
The good news is So I just got a promotion. I'm sorry. With my real job. The good news is that I can still just go down the street, southwestern edge of Midtown, Hoagies and Hops, Chili Water Brewing Tap Room, still get my Sando, still get my beer. See, this kind of defeats the purpose because I wanted to do their logos, but then you can't see what I'm holding in my hand because it disappears too much. It's time for our Hoagie and Hero of the Week, brought to you by our friends at Hoagies and
Eric,
Hops.
I just had the can right there. That does look good, though.
42nd and Boulevard.
There we go.
Hoagiesandhops.com. New menu items at Hoagies and Hops. New Sandos. So 4 new sandwiches for Christina on her menu, including this one that I have in my left hand. This is the Meadow Brook Farm Cheese Hoagie. My kid, James, loves this. He loves cheese sandwiches. And I'll tell you what, Jake, and I probably only do this like once a year. Like on a really hot day, you know what's actually like a really excellent sandwich? Just take 2 slices of nice bread and get like a really good cheddar or something like that and get a fresh tomato. Like a fresh, like beefsteak level tomato, cut it and just pop it in. Tomato, cheese, bread. Delicious, right? That's essentially what this is. There's lettuce as well on here on the cheese hoagie.
What is a beefsteak tomato?
Like the big fat tomatoes. The big fat red ones. They're called beefsteak tomatoes. You don't go grocery shopping for yourself, do you? You have Shannon do all of that. American, Munster, Prove, LT, and you can get mayo or you could get mustard, whatever you want on that. I chose mustard on mine.
Safe lettuce.
It's good. It's a cheese hoagie. It's a cheese hoagie. It's really good.
It's fabulous.
It's summer. It's light. It's fresh. And we have our chili water brew. Blood on the Tracks IPA, the Blood Orange IPA, which is absolutely delicious. I'm not an IPA guy, and this is one of my favorite beers that they have. It's so sweet. Oh, it's so good.
Perfect.
There's no bite to it, really. I mean, there's a little bit of a bite to it, but like the kind that you like. Actually, that sounds weird. That sounds like Marv Albert. Maybe we'll get that in post. I'll have Vince get that in post. But
Vince
Blood on the Tracks,
Derek, we're live.
Blood Orange IPA, and the Meadow Farm Cheese Hogue. Absolutely delicious here at Hoagies and Hops. So our Hero of the Week, I really hate doing this. I almost gave it to Spain, but I feel like, do you feel this way, Jake? I feel like the World Cup final was a week ago. That's just the sports world now. Doesn't it feel like even like these large scale sporting events, once you're past like 48 hours, it's like, all right, that's it. Have you seen what the Red Sox are doing right now?
They won like 12 in a row. Yes, I see, because the Blue Jays are
14 in a row. They've won 14. The Red Sox, in their history, the Red Sox, which have been around for 500 years, right? Boston Red Sox, their franchise record for wins in a row is 15. So they have a chance. They got postponed tonight. We're taping this right now. Well, we're not taping it. This is the live stream on Tuesday night. So they'll have a chance to tie the franchise record tomorrow. But Jake, on June 24th, they lost a series in Colorado to the Rockies, who are horrid.
right.
They had the worst record in the American League. They had the second worst record in baseball at 32-46. They are 19-2 since then. 19-2. Swept 4 against the Yankees at home. Swept 4 against the Rays at home. And they're now leading one of the wild card spots in the American League. This just shows you we can barely handle a 17-game NFL season in this town. If Indianapolis ever had a baseball team and we were forced to talk about the baseball team here, these seasons, Jake, they change on a dime. Like, you suck until you don't, or you're good until you suck.
You're right.
Like, it just feels like this stuff changes so much. Like, the Red Sox were horrific. They were terrible over the first couple of months of the season. And then suddenly you have 2 red-hot weeks and you're great.
They had a historically bad offense.
Yeah, now they're hitting and they're doing.
Look at Derek going up. The sandwich is great, isn't it?
And they've done all this. You know, Garrett Crochet, their ace, is still hurt. I mean, they have Sonny Gray too, right? But Roman Anthony, who's supposed to be one of their hotshot young hitters, has dealt with injuries this year too. I mean, they've done a lot of this, despite the fact that they've had a lot of bad luck. And as much as I despise the Red Sox, I think you got to kind of tip your cap to them a little bit. It's been very impressive. What's that?
I need to text Will Fleming.
Oh, no. Will's probably geeked up about it.
He's the voice of the Red Sox.
I know. Let's get over to the Fever. And thanks again to our friends, Hoagiesandhops.com, Chili Water Brewing Taproom, 42nd and Boulevard. They're on the southwestern edge of Midtown. Let's get over to the Fever. What a performance the other night for Caitlin Clark, as she scores 45 points on 18 shots in fewer than 30 minutes in a win. And the Fever go into the All-Star break with a pair of wins. Really, the Storm win wasn't very impressive, right? Seattle stinks. They almost blew it. They needed all 45 of those Caitlin Clark points in order to win by 3. But then they came back and had a very impressive outing against the Liberty. They held them at 88 points. They dropped a .08 themselves. And now you look at where the Fever are at 16-10. After that start, I think they were 5-5 at one point, weren't they, Jake? They're 11-5 since then. They're tied for the 5th best record in the WNBA. They're only 5 games behind Minnesota, but they're 2 games behind the defending champion Aces, who they swept in Las Vegas during a West trip a couple of weeks ago. So I think the Fever are actually in pretty good shape. Look, when the defense is bad, it's very bad. But when the offense is cooking, they've got 3 of the best players in the league in Clark and Boston and Mitchell. And I just feel like the timing of Clark's performance really helped too. It was like it felt like it was coming up for air. Like, in a lot of ways, and I understand that they've mostly been successful. In a lot of ways, this Fever season has been sort of like, you're just kind of treading water, trying to survive in the waves because of the discourse and all of the tumults around the Fever. And Clark has a game like that, and it just kind of shuts everybody up for a night. And that felt good to me. That felt like you could take a deep breath and just sort of, enjoy basketball again, if that makes sense.
But Derek, here's my question about the Fever, and I don't know the answer to this. It's almost a rhetorical question, and it's one that kind of fascinates me. Caitlin Clark on Friday night had 45 and 10. Kelsey Mitchell had a big game as well, but Caitlin Clark had 45 and 10. And the play of the game was actually what she did defensively, because they had a block on one end. Seattle comes on a break the other way, and Caitlin Clark perfectly, to use almost like a World Cup soccer term, she comes in and she gets like the tackle, if you will. She puts her body in just the right position to intercept the breakaway score. It was a great defensive play and a very savvy play. I thought that was a fabulous moment. But 45 and 10. And yet they're playing Seattle, who they realistically should not have struggled that level with. And I know every game's, they're all professionals. I get it.
Yeah.
The next night, they take on New York, as you said, never really in question. And Caitlin Clark and she had 10 assists with her 45. So it's not like she was ball isolating. But Kelsey Mitchell, I think, had 33 on Saturday in that win. And everything's going through Caitlin Clark, don't get me wrong, but they're now using her as the facilitator. Are they better when Caitlin Clark is the facilitator first, who has the ability to score second? Or are they better when Caitlin Clark is the dynamic scorer who then can facilitate? I feel like it might be the latter, the former. She's a facilitator who then can score to stretch things out just when you start to get people comfortable on lagging away to guard where she's getting the basketball. And she has unbelievable anticipatory vision of where the ball needs to go. But I think, and I hate to say it this way, Derek, and feel free to disagree, but it feels to me like the Fever need to determine and decide which of those two they are and go with it. And just that's how they're going to play. And then if you alter that, then you go back to the other way. But out of the box, they need to figure out exactly what their identity is and roll with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes there'll be nights where they need her more as a scorer, and sometimes there'll be nights where they need her more as a facilitator. But I agree with you. I would lean towards facilitating more than scoring, even though she's obviously a really gifted scorer. And when she has nights like she did last night, when she's efficient, then look out. Because really that's been the knock on her, is the fact that even when she's had some high scoring totals like 27, 28 points, she's had to take 20 shots or something like that to get there. Whereas you had 45 on 18. And yeah, she lived at the line a little bit. I think she went 17 of 19 from the free throw line, but still 45 points on 18 shots in fewer than 30 minutes is insane. It's historic. There's a reason why nobody's ever done that before. But I just think, and we talked about this on last week's show, I think the Fever are starting to discover what the best version of themselves is.
Right.
And that's why they're playing better basketball, where they still have flaws and they still have warts. And I think this roster is way too top heavy. I think you have three of the best players in the league, the absolute best players in the league, in Clark, Boston, and Mitchell when fully healthy. I think there's a severe drop-off after that.
Yeah, in Boston, I love Kelsey Mitchell. I do.
Yeah.
But Aaliyah Boston might be their second best player, because her this newfound three-point shooting ability, and I shouldn't say newfound, but I mean that's become a real part of her game, right? And that's really opened things up for them. She's a very good player. And there's a reason why she was also the number one pick of the draft.
Yeah, and look, Sophie Cunningham has played a nice role this year. Lexi Hull has been, over the years, a pretty good player as well. I think they need to upgrade the back half of this roster tremendously. But I think overall, just with what they've shown over the past couple of weeks, they can play with and contend with anybody in the league. And their good is really, really good. And you wouldn't say that about all teams. I think they have a higher ceiling. They might have a deeper floor, but I think they have a higher ceiling than some of these other teams that they're bumping up against. And
Derek,
I think I'd rather have the high ceiling team.
I have World Cup questions.
It's over. The World Cup is ended. Is that what you're going to ask about? Is there any more soccer?
No, I actually kind of got to the point of enjoying it. But I want to ask you two questions, and I need you to answer them honestly. Okay?
I don't know if I can. I'm kind of a soccer novice. You know that, Jake. I mean, I probably know a little bit more than you, but not much.
What the hell does that mean?
Well, when it comes to soccer.
Yeah, but if you're a novice and you know more than me, what does that make me?
Oh, you don't know anything about soccer. You know that.
That's not true at all. No,
yeah, you've admitted that. You don't know
that's the old me. That's the old me. This is the new reformed cosmopolitan Jake, right?
I know the new you. We talk every night just about.
No.
We're best friends. I know everything about you. So I know the old you. I know the new you. I know the medium you. I mean, I know all of it, all sizes.
If hypothetically we had any conversation at all, that would have to be a new me. You are correct in that. But that's not happening. But that said, here are my questions for you. Number one. At the beginning of the World Cup, before anybody had taken to the pitch, on a 1 to 10 scale, your level of knowledge of soccer was what?
2.5.
Okay. On the completion of the World Cup, some 60 hours after it wrapped up or whatever it may be, your level of understanding and knowledge of soccer is what?
3.5.
Okay.
I think I understand fouls and cards a lot more from living through this World Cup.
So my second half of that question is this. Okay. At the beginning of the World Cup, before anybody had taken to the pitch, and all games were 0-0.
Yeah.
You, Derek Schultz, your level of interest in soccer was what?
Because it's a World Cup of 5.
Okay. Now that we are removed from it, what is your level of interest in soccer?
A 2.
Really? So it dips.
I'll watch anything that's high stakes, but yeah, it didn't. I'm not going to start tuning into MLS games because we had an epic World Cup that was very entertaining.
I have an unpopular opinion here, and then I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, grade me on this. Okay.
Okay.
And this is coming from somebody who broadcasts IndyCar racing, which is also a niche sport and one that has a niche audience. Soccer is not a niche sport. I get it, but in the United States, it has been,
and anything that's not the NFL is a niche sport in the United States,
fair.
Pretty much.
Okay, but it is my opinion, and I enjoyed the World Cup. I really did. I watched a lot of the games that were not involving the United States. I enjoyed watching the United States, and then even when the United States was eliminated by Belgium, I still continued watching, and I had teams that I rooted for, and I enjoyed it, and I paid attention to the bracket and all of it. I did,
nice.
And I've not done that in the past.
Proud of you.
Having said all of that, it is my belief that the last thing that is holding back soccer at this point, I don't think it's understanding of the game. I don't think it's involvement in the game from a youth level in the United States. I think part of, I'm not saying the biggest, but I think part of a factor from the non-soccer fan of getting totally on board is feeling an exclusion because of kind of a snob arrogance of soccer people that understand the game, and they are almost intimidated or threatened by other people that don't understand. And instead of saying like, hey, let me teach you about this, they intentionally speak in esoteric terms that make it even harder to understand as a novice. And thus, as a result, people, it's just like learning a foreign language. After a while, they're like, you know what, I just kind of give up on it. Any thought to that?
Yeah, but like racing fans do that too, I feel like.
I opened disclaimer at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
I totally understand it. But Derek,
I do
when
think
I go on in the month of May, when the Phoenix affiliate or Las Vegas affiliate calls me and wants me to come on to talk about the Indy 500, I don't sit there and say, well, you know, Pato O'Ward was great in qualifying, but once they actually get the car in with more downforce, now it's not as trimmed out and that dirty air hits it once he gets into the understeer of turn number one. That's where things get complicated. I would lose everybody. And I think that there are soccer people that are so, and I understand and respect it, but they are so eager to show their level of knowledge on it that when a novice asks them a question, they can't speak it in layman terms, and it's like going into the Apple store. After a while, you're just like, yeah, whatever.
Here's what I would say. You know, the only thing that really sort of, I wouldn't even say bothered me, it was a mild annoyance. I'm very big on understanding your audience and understanding who you're talking to. And, you know, even like this show is different, or, you know, for example, what I wrote for Indy Monthly is different than what I wrote for IBJ, right? Because it's a completely different audience. I didn't like getting the English football version on an American broadcast.
Correct.
You know, like, and Spain are champions. We're here. That's not how we say it. It drives me nuts.
England have won. Okay, fine. Except for that their soccer team, their national team, is known as the Three Lions. So if the Three Lions have won, sure, that's plural. But you wouldn't say that Dallas's Cowboys have won, right? So why are we doing?
Yeah, it's like if I'm watching, minute,
but still.
If I wouldn't, if there was the big one at Daytona, I wouldn't call it a shunt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's the same thing. It's not me trying to be like, well, this is America and you got to talk like you're American. Like, that's not me doing that. I'm just saying, like, knowing your audience, I just hate, and when people are talking about it and they're using all the English terms and things like that, even when they're talking about MLS games, sometimes doing that, it just drives me up the wall. Right. But everything else about the World Cup, I love, Jake. The drama, the last second nature of a lot of this, like, where teams were routinely scoring equalizers or game-winning goals 85th minute or later.
That's a tie, Derek. So you're falling victim to it. I mean,
equalizer with an S.
Messi magic is a real thing, and I don't know that I ever knew that. And it is amazing to me that even though at his age, I mean, he's clearly still the greatest player in the world, and to know that he plays not in anonymity within the soccer world, but within the sports world, he plays in somewhat anonymity in Miami of the MLS, right? I mean, how many people in the United States are aware of where Miami's the next match is, right?
Yeah.
Or where it's televised. That to me is amazing to think the greatest player in the world is playing right here professionally in the United States, and that he is not as mainstream and commercialized in this country as a LeBron or a Mahomes or whatever. That to me is surprising.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you there. But I mean, overall, 10 out of 10. I mean, this World Cup was perfect for noobs like you and me who don't follow soccer on the regular, but can still be entertained by something that is high stakes and dramatic and well played and all of that. I mean, what struck me about that final was that felt like the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl. Like, I understand that game was 0-0 for 90% of it. That was the biggest blowout I've watched in a title game in forever. Like, Spain was so clearly a better team. Really? And it didn't take a soccer expert to realize that.
Here's the thing. I didn't see a lot of it because I was working the IndyCar race in Nashville, and we were on thinking we were going on as soon as that was done. and we were just in this weird holding pattern, and then you had weather, and it was I don't know if you know this or not, it was actually 146 degrees, and there was a lot going on there. So I didn't get
That's a good segue, because we're going to talk about your weekend in Nashville and our quick hits when we come back. It's Corey and Schultz presented by Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Don't go anywhere. We're with you on the ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey.
Welcome back. Rolling right along here. Corey Schultz, presented by Bailey and Wood Financial Group, ISC Sports Network. Thanks so much for joining us. He's Jake. I'm Derek, and I'm happy to be here with Bailey and Wood Financial Group, Hoagies and Hops.
That's Jarek.
Chili Water Brewing, and
how do you not know your own name?
Kitchens.
How do you not know your? Isn't there a Jericho?
Can you just let it go? Sometimes, just like you do, I flub things up on the air on a live stream. We don't have Vince to save the day to edit stuff and post anymore.
He never did that for you.
Well, yeah, he did. Every time I call for something to edit and post, I know that he flagged it. Time to get to our quick hits. Several high-profile ESPN personalities are donezo, unfortunately, at ESPN, including a couple that I really like that have been mainstays. Karl Ravitch, no more. 30 whatever year, 1993 is when he started at ESPN. He's an institution there. The wonderfully friendly and just a super nice guy. If you had Charles Davis on your show,
yeah, really good guy.
Yeah, just really nice dude. Now he's an NFL Network veteran, so less of an ESPN mainstay. David Lloyd, who anchored SportsCenter for a long time. If I showed you a picture of him, I think you know who he is. But he has a very common name. Yeah, like a lighter hair guy. Yeah. He was let go, and then Ryan Clark made a lot of headlines, and then Cam Newton, Bart Scott. ESPN says it was part of them absorbing NFL Network and not wanting redundancy. So, tough to see people lose their jobs. Jake and I know what that's like. Jake especially knows what that's like. Pacers let go of Talon Peter, and they re-signed Jalen Swanson to a new deal. So Slauson makes it 3 players left for two-way spots.
Derek, you said Swanson. That's an ice cream brand.
No, Slauson.
Yeah, Slauson.
Like coleslaw.
Correct.
I said it correct both times. I think you're just like you're
the first time.
Because I said Jarek at the beginning of this segment. You're
it's okay. Listen,
giving me a problem.
They have the Pacers, and it's good. I mentioned off the top. It's a good situation to be in where the big storyline is what 2 players are going to get your last 2 situations or spots, roster spots on the 2-ways. Braden Smith, we know, is going to get one of them. He has yet to sign, but you don't move back into the draft to draft a guy and offer him that 2-way deal and then not sign him to it. So that's one. They're allowed 3 actually, and they have four names there. I think Ethan Thompson is going to be the odd man out because I really like what Slauson's been able to do. And I think he brings an element that is different than the other guys. And so therefore he can, in the situation that his number's called in the regular season, if they ever need it, I think he can bring something that they don't have. And then let's see, Thompson Smith. Who am I missing here? There's one other one.
Kobe Brown.
Kobe Brown
also got signed. Yeah.
Kobe Brown, I think, will stick around. Yeah.
They just signed. I don't love Kobe Brown. I was actually kind of surprised that they brought him back. But Kobe Brown, Braden Smith, and Ethan Thompson for 2 of the 3 spots.
Listen,
and I think it would be.
Derek, it ain't last year, so none of these guys are guys. If these are guys getting significant minutes this year, it means that something's gone awry.
Yeah, I think it'll be Brown and Smith because I don't think you do what you did to trade to get Smith, and I don't think you sign Brown to a 2-way before the summer league if you're not planning on having him. So I think that's where we're going to go. This diarrhea outbreak has been terrible, but if there's one positive from all the diarrhea, it's that local farmers are really capitalizing on this. As folks turn to their toilets, they're also turning to local farmers, according to reports. Fierce bouts of explosive diarrhea are causing American consumers wary of grocery-brought produce to look towards locally harvested goods. The recall is subsequently driving shoppers away from retailers, according to Kentucky farmer Allie Vallandigham, who said she's seen an increase in customers coming directly to her farm since they started violently pooping. Farmers in Missouri are also packing more cents into their piggy banks thanks to the squirts from store-bought produce. and consumers that may have caught the runs in Ohio, that has allowed them to run to local produce producers in that state too.
Did you say squirts? Did you say spurts or squirts?
It's just another, it's kind of like a shorthand way to say that you are having diarrhea. Yes. Like you have the squirts. I mean, it's a fairly common, that might even be like a medical term.
There is no way that's a medical term. There is no doctor. There is no ER. There is no med check. There's no school nurse that is writing down has the squirts. I can promise you that.
I remember
what they say, Derek, is you have irritable bowel syndrome. That's what they say. You got IBS. Anything? Yeah, okay. The guy's got IBS. He's been in here 3 days in a row. He's got the trots. You want to say the trots? That's fine.
Trots? That sounds weird. No, like when you're at your physical or something like that, and the doctor's telling you, like, when's the last time? Sometimes they'll say, when's the last time you had a bowel movement, or have you had the squirts lately? And it's just like part of the regular. Have you had any headaches, blurred vision, Derek, squirts?
I can't trust anything you say as being normalcy under any sort of doctor advisement. When you asked me at the age of 32 if it was normal that your doctor gave you a proctology exam for 4 straight years.
That was abnormal. I came to find out that I was not in the target group for prostate cancer. He was very thorough. But yeah, I don't think there's no reason to be like immature about this. It's actually a very serious situation. I don't think it's really something to joke about, because you can get, if you really have like horrible squirts for like days on end, you can get extremely dehydrated from all of the fluids exploding out of you and into your toilet bowl.
Okay.
But it's a health concern, Jake. Like, that, right?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Like, we've all been there. Like,
but then again, I will say this, for what it's worth. If this had been on the horizon, I'm simply going to say this: if this had been on the horizon between 1991 and 1996, between when I was 17 and 24 years old, I would have had no idea. You know what I mean? I would have had no idea that anything was abnormal. That's all.
Yeah, because you probably regularly had squirts then when you were younger.
I've had my gallbladder removed. I've had my appendix removed, which is not related to that. And I've been told routinely, like, it's just irritable bowel. Okay.
It's been a while since I had liquid stool. So I've been able to avoid that so far. It's usually pretty solid, or at least like there's more.
There's
more chunks than normal.
My dad. Oh my.
Well, no, I should a normal amount of chunks. I wouldn't say that it was more than normal amount.
My dad told me that he was thrilled when your son finally got out of potty training, because my dad's like, the show is too much toilet talk.
Well, that's what we're talking about here. It's a national issue right now. This is what people like, though. We're two guys talking about not just sports, but issues and all kinds of things. Our health, our bodies, colonoscopies, hearts, all that stuff. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to talk about Nashville, because we're actually running a little bit long, because you went too long with the explosive diarrhea segment. But I know it had to have been hell on earth for you on Sunday with the delays and the heat, and it must have just been awful.
It was extremely hot. Look, I met Billy Bob Thornton. That was cool. Billy Bob
that's pretty. Yeah, that's neat.
It was very cool. And he actually, I kind of did like this. Is that Billy Bob Thornton? He was there. His band was playing as part of the undercard, if you will, and well before the race was set to begin, I was in the infield, and I did kind of that thing where you walk into somebody and you're each like trying to figure out where to go. And I'm like, this guy looks familiar. And he like put both arms on my shoulders and goes, "Hey brother, how you doing?" And like kind of hit me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Landman. It was Billy Bob Thornton. He was cool. But bottom line, Derek, it was designed to be immediately following the World Cup, whenever that broadcast was going to end, for Fox to go right into IndyCar. That was going to be a major shot in the arm. But the race went, or the game went long, and then the race, it was not the rain, it was lightning delays. We had major lightning. There's a lightning strike within 8 miles. It's a 30-minute delay. We had like 3 in a row. That delayed it by an hour and a half. And then an absolute monsoon came, the most rain I've ever seen in my life, which made sense because it was 72 to 80% humidity for 2 straight days, all that moisture in the air. It was rough. It was miserable. but they ran it on Monday. It was a good race. Alex Palou winner, no surprise. Kudos to Mick Schumacher, who's going to lose his ride probably for next year, but had a really solid run for Rahal Letterman Landing and Racing.
Yeah, good for him. That is good. And it's too bad, IndyCar kind of had to play the hand that they're dealt, but
correct.
It stinks coming off the World Cup final. I mean, that could have been a ratings bonanza, but of course it's IndyCar, right? So if they didn't have bad luck, they'd have no luck at all. I mean, that's certainly how it feels for that series. We come back, final time on this show, Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bo Bleep, and we will bid you adieu. It is episode 295 here on Corey and Schultz. I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick here on the ISC Sports
Come
Network.
on.
Hey, ISC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, ISC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. Corey and Schultz, presented by Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Thanks for making us a part of your Tuesday night or your Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you're listening to this show, watching this show, YouTube, ISC Sports Network. Here's the thing. We're not in the studio anymore. We're not at Hoagies and Hops anymore, but we're still in all the same places that we've always been. Major podcast platforms, Twitch.
And we're still enjoying
ISC Sports Network, Twitter, X, all that. Yeah.
Water and Hoagies and Hops. Fabulous.
Very, very good. Time for Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bo Bleep to end tonight's show. Chateau Kitchens is in the business of in-home transformations. Maybe I shouldn't put their graphic up because the basement that they did behind me is a Chateau Kitchens.
I got the hat on that. We're good.
That's back here. Okay, so we're good. Here, let me take their logo off so you guys can see this here because it really is.
And that was where
actually
Derek is sitting right now was literally like a dungeon unfinished
It was a
basement.
pit.
10
Yeah.
years. It's unbelievable.
It was a pit. So here's the staircase that they did here. And then they did the backsplash and tile, and they did like kind of not really a wet bar, but like there's a mini fridge and a microwave. And so then we have the basement in here with a TV and a washer dryer on the other side of, actually on the other side of this wall is a closet and then a washer dryer on the other side. But it's great, right? We've got the golden handcuffs. We've got the great interest rate from COVID. And we really don't want to move, but we needed some more livable space in the house. We're like, why don't we refinish the basement? And we did so with our friends at Chateau Kitchens. And anything on the interior of their home, whether it be a basement, a kitchen, or a bathroom, they can take care of it for you. ChateauKitchens.com for Stephen Moore and his team to start your new project. And don't even take my word for it. Go look at the before and after pictures on their social accounts, Instagram and Facebook at Chateau Kitchens. Jake, statement number one. Buy it or Bo Bleep, there will be positive after effects for soccer following a universally praised World Cup.
I
the future, baby.
Yeah, I buy it. And now, does that mean that it's going to become right there on par with like the big three MLB? No, but I do think it continues to, I'm a good example. Young people are already hip to it, right? The Sammy Agees of the world, like speak only in that only lexicon. But it did, and I can't be alone. It did make me understand and appreciate it more, so I would say buy it. Seismically, maybe not, but I buy it.
It's just different here, man. Like I'm not expecting all these nuanced soccer takes. Yeah, I'll buy it. I don't know how much of a positive after effect it'll be, but I think you got a lot of casual fans. You piqued their interest because it was just very watchable, fun, easy to understand, even when you had no idea what was going on. Type of a thing. It was dramatic. There were great storylines. There were great individuals that stars that came from this.
The best teams and the best stars were
it was you couldn't have asked for a more perfect World Cup outside of like the U.S. making the final for American fans.
Here is my buy it or Bull Schultz for you. Today, the Indiana Pacers announced, much to the chagrin of many of their fans that remember when Paul George used it as the time to jilt the Pacers, that they will again do a Pacers Foundation celebrity softball game. Tyrese Halliburton will be the captain of one of the teams. Pat McAfee will be the MC for the event. Buy it or Bull Schultz, Derek will not get anywhere near it and have no invitation to play whatsoever.
Oh, Bull Bleep. I definitely will.
No.
I ripped a single off T.Y. Hilton the last time I was in the game before they discontinued it. So, yeah, I was 2 for 2 that night, actually.
No, you weren't. You only took one at bat.
Oh, yeah, I think that is right. I think they accidentally gave me like the swag bag that they give to the players, and I still have some of I have like a really nice bottle of Woodford, and it's from the celebrity. Here, hold on. Hold on.
Does it say on there what it's from?
It's got the logo and everything. Can you see this? The Celebrity Softball Challenge logo on the back of this. Isn't that great? I barely drank any of this. This is good.
They haven't asked for it back.
No, it's so funny that you brought that up.
Surprised they haven't asked for it back.
I know. I'm a little surprised that they handed it to me, but I hightailed it out of there, man.
Okay. There will be a player in the Colts training camp that everybody goes gaga over, and then all of a sudden, when the regular season rolls around, we never hear from him again.
I mean, yeah, like Deion Kane,
Ron Carter.
Michael Strawn. You remember that receiver that was that big dude? There's always something like that. I mean, that's what you get with training camp. I am sad that it's leaving Westfield. I do think there's a unique connection point for fans that can't afford to pay $60 to park and go to the game and sit in the nosebleeds and all of that. And you get up close and personal. And I understand why the Colts are doing it. I understand that 80% of the NFL has done the same thing already. So I don't fault them for it, but it does make me a little bit sad that this is going to be the last one at Westfield and really the last fan-facing training camp that we're ever going to see from the Colts. That bums me out.
Fair.
It does. Thanks to our fantastic sponsors who make this show possible, including our friends, of course, at Chateau Kitchens. Again, chateaukitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens for their Instagram and their Facebook when it comes to before and after pictures. And our friends at Hoagies and Hops as well. Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Brewing, Tap Room, 42nd and Boulevard, southwestern edge of Midtown, hoagiesandhops.com. And, of course, our presenting sponsor, Bailey Inwood Financial Group, BAWFG.com. For Jake, I'm Derek. We'll see you next time right here on Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey and Wood,